Hi, I'm Alex. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. I'm here sitting on the floor in front of my bookcase, and it's my first upload of the month, so I'm sure you know what time it is. September wrap-up time. I honestly had a pretty bad reading month for me, and I want to put out the disclaimer. I obviously read a lot. Last month I read 30 books. My average lately has been I would say 20 a month. So this month I read 12 books, which is not bad by any means. If you read 12 books, that is phenomenal, okay? I just got into a pretty bad slump, and there were week-long periods of time where I did not even open a book. So that being said, let's get into it. I have all of my ratings on my phone. I use Storygraph. I don't love Storygraph, but I also don't love Goodreads, so I don't know. The first book I read this month was The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas. This book is about Rosie, who is Lena's best friend in The Spanish Love Deception, if you've read that. These books are interconnected standalones, so you can read them separately, but you see a lot of Erin and Lena in The American Roommate Experiment, so in theory you should read The Spanish Love Deception first. But Rosie, who is Lena's best friend, quits her job at the engineering firm that they're working for to pursue her dream of becoming a full-time author. And there is an issue in her apartment, and she has to go stay in Catalina's apartment, but Catalina offered it to her cousin, which Rosie didn't know. So Rosie meets Lucas in the apartment, and then they kind of work out living there together, and yeah, it's a really fun book. I think that I definitely liked The American Roommate Experiment less than The Spanish Love Deception, but I love Elena Armas's writing. I thought it was great. The relationship felt super real and vivid. It made me giggle. It made me blush. I really did like it. I rated it 4.5 stars. This book was my 5-star prediction for the month. If you watched my September TBR, the jar chooses my TBR, that video, this was my 5-star prediction, so I rated that 4.5 stars. The second book I read this month was Killer Instinct by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the second book in the Naturals series. I'm not going to talk too much about this because it'll give away the first one, but the Natural series, if you haven't heard of it, is about a bunch of high schoolers who got brought into the FBI to help them solve cold cases because they all have some kind of natural ability. So that was the second book I read this month, and I rated that 4 stars. The third book I read this month I don't physically have. It is The Fall of Bradley Reed by Morgan Elizabeth. This book is about a girl whose fiance leaves her at the altar, essentially, and she is trying to get revenge, not necessarily get over it because she was kind of checked out of the relationship too, but she's trying to get revenge on wasting her time and all these things because he was doing something a little criminal and involved her in it. So she has an FBI agent watching everything she does, who steps in to stop her from making some silly mistakes. But this book was so fun. I think it's my favorite of Morgan Elizabeth's books. So she also wrote 'Tis the Season for Revenge and Cruel Summer, and then there's a new one that just came out, or is about to come out or something. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I loved this one. I thought it was so fun, very Taylor Swift coded as always, and just generally good time if you're looking for a fast read. The next 5 books I read were the Mindfuck series, and I don't know why it took me so long to read this. So the first book in the series is The Risk, which I rated 4 stars. If you haven't read or heard of the series, it's about a woman who is a serial killer, and she's avenging some things that have happened to her, which you find out about, and the FBI agent who is watching her, and it's just so good. I still can't stop thinking about it. I love it. Anyways, The Risk is the first book, and I rated it 4 stars. The second book is Sidetracked, which I also rated 4 stars. The third book was Scarlet Angel, which I also rated 4 stars. The fourth book was All the Lies, which I rated 4.5 stars. And then the last one, Paint It All Red, I rated 5 stars. But ultimately, if this book was like one book, one long 700-page book instead of 5 books, it would be a 5-star book, 100%. I loved it. I ate up every second. I didn't want it to end. I literally like posted a TikTok after being like, if you've read this book, how did you get over it? Because I can't. So following that, I tried to pick up The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager, and I guess by saying tried, it sounds like I DNF'd this. I did not. I finished it. I was filming a video with my husband. I guess that's another thing about this wrap-up is these books are all in videos, but I was filming a video with my husband, and he chose for me to read The House Across the Lake, and I thought it was okay. I thought the thriller was good. I rated it 4 stars, but I had a big issue with the plot twist. I know that people will say that things aren't realistic in books all the time, which really bothers me because, like, obviously we're trying to escape reality here, right? But this one just, like, came out of left field, you know? Like, there was not a thought in my brain that, like, that's what it was gonna be, and it really just took away from the rest of the story for me, which I didn't love, but I still rated it 4 stars. It was a good thriller. If you're looking for a thriller, I would highly recommend it. I really liked Riley Sager's writing. I will probably pick up more of his books, but this one in particular, the plot twist was just like, nah. I don't know. Maybe you disagree. The next book that I read this month, again, I don't have physically, but was Fair Play by Eve Rodsky. I had to make sure that that was her name. Eve Rodsky writes a lot of fiction books, and this one is nonfiction, and it's sort of a, like, how to divide tasks among your household kind of book. So if you and your, like, partner struggle with how to, like, split up how to do things, it's a good book for that, I guess. I don't rate nonfiction books, but I found it pretty sexist and aggravating, and maybe it's just because I am in a good marriage. I don't know, but I just found it very, like, frustrating at times. Next book I read this month was The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I annotated this one and loved it. This book is about a woman who goes and moves in to her favorite aunt's apartment in New York City, and she always heard from her aunt that the apartment was magical, and she never fully believed her, but then she walks in and she wakes up one morning and there's a random man there, and it's like, excuse me, who are you? And then they find out that she slipped 7 years into the past, and that's when they met. So I really liked this book. So the apartment goes in and out of the past. That was not a good explanation. I'm sorry. But I really liked this book. I would highly recommend picking it up. I also really loved The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, which is right here somewhere. Both of her books are great. They're both perfect for the fall. If you haven't read this yet, I would highly recommend picking it up sometime in October or November, just because it's good, like, fall vibes. And then the final book I read this month was Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo. This book is about a group of people who are trying to complete a heist, and yeah, it gets pretty crazy. There's a lot of, I know people talk about, like, the found family in this book, which I think is a huge thing. There were a lot of moments that I was like, what is gonna happen? And I still am like, what happens in Crooked Kingdom? Like, I need to pick it up, but as you're about to see, my October TBR is packed, and I don't think I'm going to be able to pick up Crooked Kingdom anytime soon, unfortunately. But I really just, I need to know, like, are things good? Are things good? If you've read it, are things good? But that is everything I read this month. So now let's move into what I plan on reading next month. I just realized I don't think I gave ratings for the last 2 books. I rated the 7-Year Slip 4.5 stars and 6 of Crows 4 stars. Now let's move on to my October TBR. Okay, so this first section of books, there's 8 of them. I was scrolling through TikTok and saw Book Infinity was recommended to do a quiz and pick your next read. So I did the quiz and it recommended me a bunch of books, and I just went through them and picked out the first 8 that I saw that are on my TBR. So let's go through them. The first one is The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I got this because it has sprayed edges. I don't really know much else about it other than there's the department in charge of magical youth, and that's about all I know. So I am really excited to read this. I think it's a beautiful book. I know people love this author, so yeah, excited to jump in to that. The next book on here is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. This is the interconnected standalone that goes with When in Rome. It's about Amelia's bodyguard and his little sister. So Noah's little sister. I couldn't remember his name for a second. I'm excited to read this. I don't think I would have put it on my TBR this month. It feels more like spring to me. We'll see if I actually get to it. Next, I have Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. I truly know nothing about this, and I would like to leave it that way. Going into thrillers is more fun like that, I think. Although I say that, and the next book is Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister, which I do sort of know what the general plot is. It's about a woman who comes downstairs and sees that her son just killed somebody, and every day that she wakes up, it's the day before, and she sort of has an opportunity to find out what's going on. I was super excited to pick this up, and so excited when it came up on Book Infinity for me. Next book I have on here is The Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I read The Inheritance Games around this time last year, but I'm going to be so honest, I don't remember. I was listening to it as an audiobook. It was a really crappy audiobook. I was super distracted, so I'm probably going to have to reread The Inheritance Games to pick up The Hawthorne Legacy, but this made it onto the TBR for this month. The next book on here is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. The size of this book. To me, if I'm going to read something this long, I'd rather it has a little more substance than a romance book, which is why when I'm craving this, I typically pick up fantasy. So I know everybody loves this. I know the 3rd one just came out, so I do want to read it, but we will see. Next book on here is Twisted Love by Anna Huang. Another book. I know this one is torn whether or not people like it, but people typically like the rest of the series. Starting a romance series feels dangerous when I have 3 that I haven't finished yet, so part of me is we'll see. But Twisted Love by Anna Huang. I know nothing about this, nor do I know anything about this. It's honestly pretty shocking that I've been able to avoid spoilers this long. And then the last book I have on this short list is Assistant to the Villain by Hanah Nicole Maurer. I love this. I love the sprayed edges. I love the cover. I love the concept. I love everything. It's about a girl who is going to be shocking, is an assistant to, wait for it, the villain. Which, I don't know. It just sounds fun. I've seen a lot of, out of context quotes from this book, which I think it's going to be so fun to read. I really cannot wait. But that is what Book Infinity chose. I have a couple other books, so let me grab those and then we'll go through them. My husband is going on a business trip at the end of the month, and I have a friend coming to stay here for a few days, and it's my friend that I buddy read with. So we read all of ACOTAR together, we read Fourth Wing together, we were supposed to read The Cruel Prince together, but I ditched her because I didn't like it. But this month, our read that we're doing together is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, which I am so excited for. I'm so excited for it. It's taking every ounce of my self-control to not pick this up before she gets here. Is it October 14th? Because I need to start reading. I can't wait. I after everything I've seen about this book, I'm just pumped. I'm curious to see if I'm going to be somebody who prefers this to Fourth Wing. I am a Fourth Wing stan, so we'll see where Divine Rivals falls for me. Another book, another hardcover book. I can't believe I have 2 hardcover books this month. I actually got from Book of the Month, which this is not sponsored, but for the first time ever, I decided I was going to get a box from them, and I got You Again by Kate Goldbeck. I don't actually know anything about this book, but look at the cover. Look at it. Are you seeing this? It's so cute and very like fall. I think I read it's like Friends with Benefits to Lovers or something, which, yeah, Friends with Benefits to Lovers. So this will be interesting, I'm sure. And then it's Dark Academia season. I'm filming a Dark Academia video right now. I honestly have like 15 books sitting out on my desk at the moment, but there's 2 in particular that I really want to get to, and whether they're part of my Dark Academia video or they just get read at other times this month, I really would like to read them in October. The first is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I feel like this is classic Dark Academia, right? And it is a modern classic. This might take a little bit longer to get through, but I know everybody loves it. A lot of people compare it to Ninth House, not necessarily for the content, but just like the vibe. And like I said, I love Ninth House, so I'm excited for this one. And then the other one that I'm really excited for is the Atlas 6. This is gonna sound stupid, but to me, this sounds like The Naturals, but instead of like natural gifts, it's magic, and instead of the FBI, it's school. I don't know. But I'm really excited to read the Atlas 6. I feel like everyone's read this already, so I can't wait to see what the hype is about. I have one more book. Please hold. Wildfire by Hanah Grace. This is the last book. This technically came out today. I was able to pick it up like 4 or 5 days ago. I haven't read it yet. I would like to read it today. Today's October 3rd, by the way. Just so you know. And I'm not wearing pink. What a crime. I guess it's not a Wednesday. But anyways, Wildfire by Hanah Grace is the last book I want to read this month. But that is everything that I read in September, everything I would like to read in October. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've read any of these books, please let me know down below which I should start with and what you're most excited to hear me talk about. So, thank you. I'll see you in the next one.